Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to our next edition of From the Forecast Desk. I'm Steve Abelman, Customer Success Rep and longtime aviation meteorologist with the Weather Company. Today we're talking about everyone's favorite spring weather topic, a topic that's been really relevant if you live in the DFW area like I do, and that is thunderstorms. So we know thunderstorms impact aviation in many ways, and some of the ways we're not even going to get to today, but storms endanger ground personnel. They create airspace chaos by blocking arrival and departure fixes, and they significantly inflate fuel costs. And we're sure talking about fuel costs these days to dispatch and fly safe routes. So when a hub airport is expecting thunderstorm impact, airline and operations centers become strategic planners. When will the storms arrive? Will they be severe? How long will they last? What will ATC do become the key challenges? TWC meteorologists work closely with operations planners during what is called Irregular Operations, or IROPS, and they work to minimize these disruptions and speed up recovery to normal schedule. So with us today, we have two of our embedded meteorologists, meaning embedded means they work inside of an airline operations center and are really a team member of that airline for all intents and purposes. So now I will turn it over to Ashlyn and James and let them introduce themselves. Good day, Ashlyn.
Hey, Steve. My name is Ashlyn Jackson. I am a senior aviation forecaster with the Weather Company.
My name is James Longwith, and I am a senior aviation forecaster also with the Weather Company, embedded with one of our major airlines.
Great. Well, thanks so much for both of you joining us. I know you are going to be answering these questions with probably a lot of detail, so let's get into it. So let's start with our forecast products. What are the key tools used by TWC to notify our customers that storms are expected? We certainly know all about TAFs, but what else is available?
I'll go ahead and start. So we typically have 3 stand-up briefings for our customer in the morning, afternoon, and also the overnight. And that's essentially to prep them for operations throughout the day. We also hold a morning and evening conference call with managers and leaderships from all of our hubs. And for high impact weather events, sometimes we are requested to do a special weather call. And that is for when they need to make significant planning changes. We're able to do those special weather calls to give them more confidence in doing those changes. And additionally, when we issue our TAFs, we also provide a discussion with it as well. And that is essentially explaining our reasoning for the forecast. And that also helps with the flight planning and also the confidence.
Great. Thank you. James?
Yeah, and as Ashlyn mentioned, our TAF discussions, they're great. They provide the forecaster insights, basically what we are looking into to make that forecast. And overall, we are trying to convey that confidence in there, along with forecast trends, whether or not we had maybe a tempo group for some thunderstorms on station, and then we noticed the thunderstorms may be trending a little bit further northward, and we can convey that in those TAF discussions by the reasoning why we changed to maybe Victus into the TAF. Additionally, our gate forecasts, I think those are really a game changer for our customers, as not only is the thunderstorms maybe impacting the terminal or the terminal not at all, the terminal could be clear and blue, but those arrival and departure corridors can be impacted by maybe sparse or numerous thunderstorms. And those are the ways to get in and out of the airport. If those are being blocked, that can lead to routing constraints and even increased fuel burn and delays.
Thanks. One follow-up. We talk more about confidence in our products today. Why do you think this is important?
Confidence is important when you are disseminating your forecast, because it really determines how aggressive they're going to be in their planning. For example, if we're forecasting large hail, then that could come with big consequences. If we do get hail on our aircraft, and that costs a lot of money, scheduling delays as well. So having that confidence and relaying, hey, this is going to happen, and we're highly confident on it, they're able to be more aggressive in their approach to the flight planning.
Thanks. Definitely. I've seen a lot of that lately. So our customers with hub airports work very closely with dispatchers and with ATC coordinators to keep schedule integrity. What role do we play with our customers to assist?
Yeah, so aside from the forecasts and the TAFs that we write for our airports, we're also able to help dispatchers route through inclement weather, help them with their flight planning. And then also we help minimize aircraft being stuck at the airport due to maintenance issues, which is fairly often. They may prevent them from flying in certain conditions. For example, an aircraft that might not be able to fly through icing conditions, or aircraft that might not have a working weather radar, and we're able to help find them a route that's not going to have any convection during that time. So it keeps those planes operational and on time to that destination, which in return keeps those flights on schedule, and it saves the airline a lot of money to return.
Yeah, and additionally to that, ATC is also asking a lot about the storm heights, the movement, and if there's any gaps within those storms or breaks within a long line, they may want to know things about how long that line is going to be open, or that break in the convection, and how long basically those gaps are going to be there so they can continue to get aircraft on through. Additionally, when we're talking to our ATC and our dispatchers, a lot of things is not all storms are forecasted. Some can surprise us, especially in pop-up high energy storm environments. So our value at the weather company, we provide a proactive approach where if we see convective initiation or something that wasn't in morning model runs, we don't wait for them to call us. We are immediately going to that customer or ATC or those dispatchers and letting them know what the latest trends are, how long that convection is going to be there. So is reducing that surprise factor for them.
Thanks, definitely. I'm going to sneak in with something here that I'm working with quite a bit, and because you were talking about the en route environment and the airspace around the airport, so I want to talk a little bit about a product called Tracker, or Terminal Area Convective Risk product, that is a popular offering in our new dispatch tool, especially in Maverick Dispatch. What Tracker does is it helps dispatchers and airline ATC specialists and others in operations better understand the impact of arrival and departure gates within the airspace. You know, users of Tracker are seeing a forecast radar product, but they're also being alerted to rapidly changing model forecasts. So if a forecast is flip-flopping and changes back and forth, Tracker is helping highlight that as well. So we're very excited about Tracker, and it's available globally at all sorts of airports. And I just wanted to steal a few of your seconds there to throw that in. So let's continue on this terminal versus en route trend a little bit. So there's a big difference between a storm sitting over the runway, closing the ramp, and a line of storms blocking an arrival departure route. So which scenario is harder to manage from a forecasting perspective, and why?
For the en route weather, while it is a challenge, the FAA generally has designed structure routes around it. Because of that, I think the en route is a little bit easier to forecast, and normally we're talking about long lines of storms or something like that. Terminal, I think, is the hardest to manage, and especially in summer when we're talking about those air mass thunderstorms, because we have weak steering flow, they're harder to predict. The storms don't move and they just pulse up and down. They can sit directly over a terminal for hours. A lot of the terminals that we work with have between 3 to 5 nautical mile lightning rules of the field that causes ramp closures. And I think one of the things is when ramps close, people don't see the other things that actually happen. There's no fueling going on for airplanes. People are not boarding. There's no luggage being loaded or offloaded. Everything pretty much comes to a standstill at the airport. And because of the lack of the steering flow mechanics that we have, those storms park on the runway for a while. We get gridlocks on the taxiways. We keep the lightning clock ticking and resetting indefinitely, and that can lead to major delays and disruptions at those airports compared to storms that are moving along a front that are much more predictable in the onset and the ending of those storms.
I get the feeling I can give you both a little bit of PTSD if I talk about an event a couple weeks ago in the Dallas area where the thunderstorms were 60 to 70 miles northwest of the airport itself, and there were lightning strikes in the anvil reported over the field. I think you both remember that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, definitely.
That was rare, but those kinds of things happen. So the storm passing is only half the battle. Now, afterward, the airspace is messy, the routes are clogged, planes are out of position. So what is your role in the recovery phase of getting an airline back on schedule after the weather at the airport is cleared out?
Airports tend to have alternates for inclement weather where they can divert to. Many times they're in the same region as the original airport they're supposed to be going to, and that may have the same risk for weather as well because they are in the same region. An important step in that recovery is identifying which alternates to prioritize so flights are able to get to their original destination in the same day. Sometimes if there's a line of storms per se, sometimes that alternate airport is getting hit at the same time. So we typically like to find the less impactful weather at a certain alternate to route them there. And then during the recovery phase, it's really one of the most asked questions by directors, dispatchers, and irregular operations leads.
So our role on the recovery road is all about timing. So we just have to be pretty precise on when those storms are going to be off the field, and not only just off the field, but when those gates are going to reopen. Again, those arrival and departure corridors are very important. When the weather breaks, as you mentioned, the airspace is messy. Planes are out of position, and we just got to provide that intelligence to the airline so they can confidently resume its schedule without risking any more disruptions. And that way they can safely commit to those crew swaps and getting planes back into position without fearing either a second wave of storms or more disruptions to the schedule.
Thanks. Really interesting. And I've seen that many times. So appreciate that insight. I'm going to turn it over to both of you for some closing thoughts, but I'll say one thing. I noticed we haven't covered everything that impacts the airlines about convection. We've tended to focus at the terminal areas, the hub areas itself, and also around the hub areas. But we also do a lot of support, helping define routes and plan routes, especially in some of these longer hauls. So maybe down the road we'll address that in another one of our podcasts. So, okay, I'm going to pass it to you all for some closing thoughts. James.
At the end of the day, every storm, whether or not it's blocking a jet route or sitting over the runway, this basically forces the airline to carry extra fuel, causes the risk for cancelizations or delays. By providing that human insight and the timing, the coverage, and where those thunderstorms are going to be, we aren't just forecasting the weather. Again, we are helping them manage the economic and operational integrity of the airline.
Like we said, we can only plan so much. Weather is going to be unpredictable at times. And like James stated, we're constantly looking at the evolving changes and helping them get things back together. But the ability for us to communicate those changes when they do happen with those forecasts, it makes a big difference to them, and being confident also in like our forecasting abilities and continuing to feed them information. That essentially is what is going to make the customer happy.
Thanks. Thank you both very much. I can say from experience and been doing this for 30 plus years, there is a rush of sitting out there on an operations floor when everything is moving and everybody's in motion and watching the interaction between the meteorologists and the dispatchers and the operations decision makers. It's really fascinating stuff. Well, listen, thank you both for joining us today. I think it was some great conversation, and we look forward to talking to you again real soon. Everybody have a great day.